Gaami. This movie reminded me of India's journey in the World Cup.
Just like how India dominated its way into the finals, Gammi also dominated throughout the opening acts only to just collapse in the finals.
Imagine Jack coming alive in the end of Titanic.
Imagine Iron... You might just enjoy this.
Yeah.
Light.
Yeah. Light-heart people.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
The way that happened had so much meaning to it.
It was like, oh, that emotional way, and she's alive. I'm like,
And then, yeah.
yeah. Imagine.
All the time.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Two Boys and a Movie.
Welcome back. It's been a
Welcome
while.
Back. Yes.
And in today's episode, we'll be expressing our opinions about the film.
Starring Vishwak Sen and Chandini Chowdary in the lead roles, music by Speaker Agasti, and directed by a debutant, Vidyadhar.
A debutant with a lot of potential, but well, you'll know.
Yes. So before we get into the video decoding of Gaami, we keep doing movie analysis of technicians and artists, and also interview them and talk to them about cinema. So we'll put some links in the description, but to get all the content, exclusive content of our channel, please subscribe. With that, this is Maruti Acharya,
And I am Sanjay Ponnappa.
and let's get into the video. So let's start with the positives of the movie.
It's always good to start with the positives, so
Yes.
let's start with that. First thing is the vision. The scale of the film, the vision, what the director wanted to achieve was all very evident in the film, and respect to that.
Yes, because having a vision of this scale, including so many plot aspects, and these are not, widely explored. The presentation, the themes that were discussed in the movie.
Indian cinema,
especially Telugu cinema. This is a very unconventional movie.
Yes.
And I will start by saying this: it's actually still not for all the audience. So taking a theme and subject like that and executing it almost to perfection. The almost.
Yeah. But then again, credit needs to be given where it is due, and the vision definitely is something that holds a lot of.
Yeah.
Well, while we are talking about the vision, what made it propagate so much is the visuals.
Correct.
And the visuals in most parts were beautiful. So again, to give some information about the film, this film started off as a crowd-funded film.
Correct.
It took some time for them to crack a proper producer.
9 years of director's journey,
Yeah.
and close to 6 to 7 years of filmmaking journey. That is Gaami.
And the journey is also visible through these visuals. You can see the differences, what a budget
Exactly.
might do to a film. And you can also see the kind of journey the director has had in terms of filmmaking. With whatever experience he gathered over time, you can see a journey happening only with the visuals purely.
Correct.
Next is the VFX, which supports the visuals. While there are some portions, it's still.
But there are very few portions where it is Samsung, because in Indian cinema, we appreciate jugaad more than perfection. Why? Because we understand the constraints with which we deal.
Of course, we appreciate jugaad.
Yeah.
Which is what we are doing in this home setup right now.
Exactly. So we do appreciate the jugaad part of it. So wherever they try to keep the movie as natural and practical as possible, but for some elements of the storytelling where they had to use the VFX, it was a clever use of VFX, I would say, just to elevate the experience. And oh my god, watching it on big screen, trust me that this is a theatre experience movie, irrespective of the negatives of the movie.
For sure.
You should go and watch it in theatres.
Theatre, good sounds.
Yes.
Let's get to the sounds.
Yeah.
The background music was just brilliant in the film. Throughout the film, music is 100%. Without any complaint, music was the best.
And also overall, adding the camera and the way VFX was used and the music, the team has successfully, created the vibe. Because this is not a conventional movie where the locations or the themes that are being discussed are very normal. The movie demands you to travel to that world, explore the journey, and all these technical aspects has done a phenomenal job in taking you to that place.
Exactly.
To that vibe.
So if you've seen the trailer, you will see that there are portions being shot in the snow-capped mountains of Himalaya, and to actually experience it, you need all these technical aspects to come together in a good sync, which actually happened here.
Yes.
Everything technical about the film was sound, even though there was jugaad. And for people who watched films, studied films enough, they might be able to make it out. But otherwise, it is an enjoyable aspect. It actually transports you to the world, especially into the
Correct.
asylum setup.
Yeah, so in a movie where you're showing broad, open sky landscapes and a very tight, congested, claustrophobic asylum locations, and still, creating the same experience. Oh my God! Kudos to the team.
It gives you the experience of the place, which
Yes.
is why when I say technical aspects coming together, it gives. If you have to feel claustrophobic, you feel claustrophobic. If you internally you have to feel the chills. You can
Yeah.
see it through the characters and through the visuals there.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's get into the screenplay and performances. This is a grey area.
Yeah, that's
There
why
is
we are
good,
adding
there is
both of them
bad.
together.
Yeah, this is like in the
Gray area.
Yeah.
It can be positive. So we'll talk the positive aspects of the screenplay
And then-
and performance, and then
to the negative.
yeah, positive aspects of the screenplay is first of all choosing this kind of a screenplay structure to tell this story itself is a commendable
It's a
choice.
huge task, and it got pulled off well, at
Correct.
least for the most part of the film.
Yeah, and off late, because of this OTT exposure and Hollywood movies that we are watching, sometimes a lot of people use different screenplay structures, storytelling patterns, just to add that
Engage the audience.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
But this movie, it feels like the story actually demanded a
Yeah,
screenplay
it
structure
does.
like it. So it's very rare where you choose a very technically heavy screenplay pattern which the story demands. That is what happened with Gaami, so that is why it's a big plus to the movie. And performances, definitely the child artists. One is the Tumbad actor, we don't know the name, we'll mention it somewhere here. The Tumbad actor and the girl who played an important role in the movie.
Uma.
Yeah. So
The
they
character
were
of Uma. The actor who played the character of Uma.
phenomenal.
There are other actors in the film who've had their experience, but these two, my God, the performance just blows your mind away.
Yeah.
Now,
And-
getting into the negatives with the screenplay itself, there were narratives, parallel narratives was basically the screenplay structure of this film. There were narratives of 3 different stories happening parallelly, and the cut was like 1, 2, 3, 1,
Correct.
3, 1, 3, 1, 2, and all that. Among these, while 2 of the narratives were high on adrenaline, fast paced, something was happening and dynamic, one of it was very slow. And when you cut between these things, it felt like dosa, you were making a dosa, and then just before it is getting that crisp, you turn it.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
मजा कैसे आएगा भाई?
okay, for example, again, here there is a small spoiler. We are going to refer to another movie and talk the comparison. So, this movie reference might give away a lot of things about the story which we don't personally want you to. So, Dunkirk. So, this movie follows a similar screenplay structure pattern where there are 3 different worlds happening and they all come together in the end, and how is something that you should experience in the movie that we are definitely not going to spoil to you. But few portions are very interesting. Let's take Asylum part and the whole Vishwak Sen journey towards the mushrooms. Shankar's journey towards mushrooms.
So
These are the
as
interesting
shown
parts.
in the trailer, Shankar has a problem where he can't handle human touch, and the solution to this, the cure to this, is a mushroom that you find in the Himalayas.
Correct.
So he is on this journey to find this mushroom, which actually only grows once in 36 years and works for only 24 hours.
Correct. It's a very tight, all the elements were so tight, and that's why you're so invested in the story. Oh, what is happening? What if we miss that?
Yeah.
And the journey to reach those mushrooms is also not easy. It has glaciers, mountains with no resources. So it's a very lions. So it's a very adventurous, thrilling kind of a journey, which is going in a very fast pace. And even the asylum story parallelly.
Yeah, exactly.
There is so much happening. There are characters going through, a very bad shit phase.
It's a very bad situation.
And parallelly, there is a science aspect to it of what kind of research or experiment is happening on them and exploring what they are trying to achieve with that. All of that, which keeps the curiosity element.
And then there are patients who are actually trying to escape.
Yes.
So there is this whole, again, another reference if you want to understand more, Shawshank Redemption. There is this whole arc, but not as, making friendships and light-hearted as in some parts of Shawshank was, but this was actually fully gritty, and you can be there right in the mud, feeling the claustrophobia of the characters.
And that story is the darkest story and disturbing story of the entire movie. But
so you can understand, there is a high feeling here, there is a high feeling here, but then all of a sudden when there is...
That is with the Devdasi story. So what happens with the Dunkirk screenplay pattern is the movie, irrespective of the time frame and the story, like land, water and air, right? So irrespective of whatever it is, the screenplay structures make sure that every scene that ends on a sober place after a high note, so that you don't feel that you're missing out on something, or oh, what is this abrupt cut. But when it comes to Gaami, it feels like, because what the stories are offering and what the journey of exploring these stories is different. So whenever this Devdas story is coming, you always are like, I don't want this, just skip to that. And the problem with that is the core and important, the foundation story of all the three stories.
I didn't care. I was like, see, when you're so invested and then all of a sudden you bring down the heat. And I just thought of an example, but then the Devdasis took it away from my head. Okay, I remembered. So a very important part of the screenplay is every time they cut, they left it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But after a point, it felt like I do not want any more cliffhanger. It was just every 2 minutes a cliffhanger. When you're watching a series, you at least get 1 hour of content before a cliffhanger makes you go and watch the other one. Getting to the next negative, the lag.
Yes. Oh my god. There are so many portions where the story feels, stretched a little too much. Why? Because the proceedings, so like he's mentioned, right? So cliffhanger and cut. So the problem with the movie is, once it comes back to this story, let's assume there is an asylum portion happening, and suddenly at a cliffhanger they shift it to the Devdasi portion, and again they'll shift it to the Shankar's Himalayas portion, and they'll come back to the asylum story after the cliffhanger. So they leave it on a cliffhanger and they don't explain what happened in between, and they start with a solution that happened to that problem cliffhanger, and they just proceed. So what happened between that, you don't have context to it. It just happened. They say it just happened. Like, it feels like, for the people who watched KGF, the whole build-up is, Rocky Bhai is gonna kill Garuda. How? And imagine they just removed the chopping of the head scene and they show, Rocky Bhai killed, and everybody's talking Rocky Bhai killed. How does it feel? You don't see what happened, but you're left to assume that happened.
And as it is with KGF, people have the complaint that there wasn't actually a proper fight between Garuda and Rocky. It was a one slash. But then just imagine if even that wasn't there.
That wasn't there. And it keeps happening every 20 minutes in the movie, where every important plot point enters the cliffhanger, and it just, they show the problem as a very big thing, but how are the characters overcoming it is not shown at all.
So with the screenplay itself, there were many instances where I'm not even getting into the emotional middle track of the film. That was a laggy portion in itself. But even with the high energy adrenaline scenes as well, there were portions where the director was trying to make you feel the internal tussle of the characters, but then that is stretched a little too much. You felt it, you got to the high point, but then after that, like when water is boiling, after the boiling point, the temperature is just...
Yeah.
That was what was happening here as well, where you felt for the character, but then he's just pushing even more and more, which actually had a reverse impact.
Yeah, because when the director or a story is forcing you to feel certain way, then obviously it is going to fail miserably, because it's left on the audience. You just tell the story in a very compelling way where you feel emotionally attached to the character, but it's like, now feel sad for this character, he's feeling this, the asylum, whatever is happening, you should feel a certain way. It felt very forced, because of which maybe first time, second time, because of the technical brilliance, you'll feel that. But after a point of like, how many more times do you feel this way? That's how it became in the end.
while we are talking about ends, let's talk about the loose ends in the film. While we mentioned that there are enough, it was, tightly knit, that was only in the start.
Yes.
Because as the film went on, the shoelace started getting untied.
Yeah.
Like, and then at the end, we just fell off. because
It's
of-
like you tie your shoelace and you start walking and suddenly you realize the shoelace is open and you don't know, right? You feel so confused. You have so many questions when you're leaving the auditorium. Oh wow, what
and
happened
it's
to
not
this?
like, why did Kattappa kill Bahubali? Question.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened here?
What just happened?
there? What
Yeah.
happened there? And all of these are actually significant parts of the film. Asylum, what happened to the asylum? God knows.
You just feel clueless. For the people who watch the movie and trying to understand what we're trying to say, what happened to the asylum in the end? The new bunch of people who entered the asylum, what happened to them? What happened to the whole, the mother backstory?
Yeah, so with the emotional angle, mother, there is an instance where they say that she had a husband who, because she took Devadasi lifestyle, he became a sannyasi and went away. There was an elder brother who was mentally ill and he went away, which were clearly tactics to misdirection.
Correct.
But then once it is shown, once it is actually, we know that that isn't the course of the film, main course of the film. What was that then?
Yeah.
You need to answer who that was for us to feel like, oh, this is not them. You can't just give me this answer and just.
Yeah, and if it's a technique to mislead, then obviously this was my problem with Leo also. It feels very gimmicky when you mislead and you don't, join the knots properly.
See, if the director is expecting the audience to just listen to every dialogue and understand, even though he's not showing things, that is not fair, because you build such a beautiful arc, you need to complete it visually.
Yeah.
You need to show the completion. So in the story itself, in the starting, if this particular experiment doesn't work out, this thing will be shut down, is told. But then it is not shown at the end what are the
What
consequences of whoever, the doctors over there, what happened to them. Did they shut it down?
Yeah.
Was there any other experiment? There were so many other characters, kids.
Yeah.
Should we get too much into there were so many other kids who were still stuck there. What happened to them? None of these questions are answered. Which is just.
And also on a lighter note, there is this eagle in the movie which kind of tried by the team to put it as if it's a very
Another
important
gimmick.
character. Another gimmick. It's like I thought Ravi Teja's eagle is the most clueless eagle, and then I realized the eagle in this movie is the most clueless one.
These are just the loose ends, but then there are so many other scenes which is just lost in translation, which is just
Correct.
Convenience.
Convenience.
Oh
my
and
god. Too much
overly
of
dependent
convenience.
on the audience's understanding.
Yeah.
Understanding.
Half of the things are left for you to assume.
Why?
Like we want to know what happened
We
between
want
that.
to see that.
Yeah.
You are presenting to us a visual spectacle as well. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
You can't. So there is this one scene. Spoiler alert. There is this one scene where the protagonists in the Shankar arc are supposed to get from one cliff to another, and there is a depth in between. There is two different cliffs, and they try jumping. It's not happening. Both of them try jumping. It's not happening. All of that is good. Nice scenes. Suddenly this idea cracks and the hero makes a boomerang out of wood in a snow-capped mountain.
And they cut the story to another arc, other
Yeah,
asylum,
yeah.
Devdasi, and the story comes back and the thread is there. There is a rope which is tied both the mountains, and what happened in between, how did they achieve all of that? They don't show
How
it.
did he throw? Where did
Nothing.
it go in? It's a wooden boomerang
So-
with a snow blizzard going on.
It's like, you're
And the
solving
boomerang also comes back at the end.
Yeah, that also happens so that he'll use it for another thing. Lack of resources also in the story was evident. It's like solving a math problem where you're solving, and in the end you realize it's LHS equal to RHS. You just write, in the exam we all used to do that, right?
You don't get
okay,
the
you don't
answer,
get the answer.
LHS
LHS equal to RHS. That means I solved the problem. That's how the movie felt.
And it all. So another piece of, excuse me, that's the Hyderabadi biryani you gave me yesterday.
That was 2 days ago. It's like the Kumbh Mela. There are a lot of scenes in the movie where I felt like I want RRR Ramcharan intro kind of a scene, but all I get is a Balaya police get up fight.
I don't know what sort of logic the director was going with, but clearly the film didn't have a lot of it.
Yes, and it feels very sad to say that, but we'll not say that statement. We'll give the questions to the people who watched the movie. If you didn't watch the movie, come back, especially to this segment, and give us answers if you found that in the movie. We really want to know.
Do watch the movie.
Yeah.
You should watch all movies.
You should. So my first biggest question is, the mushrooms expired after 24 hours, right? Then how suddenly mushrooms came? Where?
Yeah. Okay, to give you guys context, that the whole first act of the film is this, mushroom that that Shankar has to find, because it is the cure for his problem. His problem is established wonderfully. The mushroom build-up is great. Yeah. It takes this whole mythological / beyond science route, which seems beautiful. There was no problems with it. It's not like I had questions, oh, this is not believable. Totally believable it was. What happened in the climax? Because in the pre-climax high, there is this whole scene where there is an illuminating mushroom which loses its light.
Yeah.
Which is like the low point of the character. So if that is already gone, then where does the last mushroom at the conclusion, which is again seemed like it was a couple of days later, where does it come from?
Where does the mushroom come from, and why suddenly, what made Shankar character feel that he should go towards the asylum? That is shown, and he suddenly is near the asylum. Somewhere in India-China border is what they show, and suddenly, like, it just happens in 1-2 days. He's reaching asylum, his goals are changing, and Chandini is alive. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. We are jumping a lot because there are so many logical misses, many illogical turns, because so like I said, from the mushroom, the first mushroom, they fall down.
Yeah.
But I bought this explanation that Shankar is alive because when the monks in Himalayas who just live there apparently went and touched him, because of the reaction he gets, he woke up.
Yeah.
Fine, I don't see any wounds or anything. He just does all the time. That is all. But okay, how did the girl survive?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the Himalayas. Even the water is hard when you jump into it or dive into it.
If you have any answers to these questions or any logical
If
points,
we missed any of the points, let us know in the comments. So for me, it actually felt like by the end of all this, because of all the year-long trouble the director had taken, he actually just quit. He turned his mind off. He just wanted to finish this movie somehow. Which, while watching the film, I actually told you, I'm really scared that this might suddenly take a Shakespearean ending where everything will all of a sudden come to a close, which is what exactly happened, and that was actually the most disappointing part. Even if you had given a logical, if you couldn't pull it off visually, at least logics and answers if you had given. As an audience, we know your story. We would understand that, okay, these might have been the compromises. But exactly, see, at no point will I say that I wasted my time watching this film. I do not feel like that. I actually felt really good about the film, but which is why there is this level of frustration. It was not, oh no, why did I watch this film? No, this is actually a brilliant case study. I watched this film, there's so many things to take away from it. It didn't feel like a time waste, but it definitely left me very disappointed, which is where this is coming out.
And this duration of the video is coming. Yes, so that's our video of what went wrong with Gaami. So this is our opinion. You can have a different opinion about it. Whatever is your opinion, please mention all of that in the comments below. And for more such interesting videos, hit the like button and share it with your friends. With that,
I am Sanjay Ponnappa,
and this is Maruti Acharya
with the conclusion to the new and refreshed version of Two Boys and a Movie.
You are watching
India Today.
SoSouth.